Okay. Hello, everybody. We are ready. Yes. Hello, everybody. Then. Second day. I want to say this, but maybe Ada will like my metaphor. I always, when I teach this thing, I feel like, I don't know, Harry Potter or this, the Da Vinci Code, that people found an old book with the ancient art, like the old people knew something that we forgot. This is in fact, a very old book about how to manage metals, all the mining theories. A guy called Agricola that was, in fact, doing mining, not agriculture. So my point is and they have beautiful drawing, as you see. So I always feel like I have this ancient knowledge from the old people, from the old masters, and the kind of knowledge that has been lost, and I have to teach. That is my way of seeing it. Like when Harry Potter finds the books or something like that. I don't know if Harry Potter did. Then, what is my view of ancient arts? The old ways that have powerful magic is essentially command line, using text file, editing text in the terminal, and combining everything. That's kind of the combining all. This is kind of my vision of the old ancient arts. And well, that is what I try to promote, okay? So, in particular, text. Why text? Because text documents are good. I know that I have said this to some people, but I have to say it anyway, no? So basically, the texts are readable by humans and readable by computers. And they have a long life. Texts are managed with text editors, which are different from word processors. So the typical experience that people have is Microsoft Word or something similar. These tools are called word processors and are essentially oriented to create letters, or they're tools for lawyers, let's say. If you are doing science, you probably, and especially if you do computer science, let's say, you want to use text files. No? Text editor, one of the advantages is they have colors. They show you colors that represent the meaning of things. So the color depends on the role of each text. For example, well, let's say heading. So the color is not in the file. In Word, for example, if you paint colors, the colors are encoded in the file. In a text file, you don't have, you have only text, but the text editor can help you. Okay, that's called syntax highlighting. So text editors that handle Markdown, the one that I am proposing is Visual Studio Code. I emphasize here code because Visual Studio is a family of programs or systems that Microsoft has developed for many years. And it is expensive and very specific, and I really don't like it very much. But Visual Studio Code is in fact something different. They share the name, but it's completely different from the rest, and it's free. Before that, I used to use Atom, which is made by the people in the company called GitHub. Now, the point is that GitHub was bought by Microsoft a couple of years ago. So suddenly you have two companies, I mean, one company with two products, and the two products are essentially the same. In fact, they are basically the underlying software is the same. So they were kind of redundant. So I think that every movement went to Visual Studio. And to be honest, I find it faster. And one alternative is RStudio. I think all of you know because it's the one we have used in class. But I want to skip the RStudio part, in particular because I'm not thinking about writing program, I'm thinking about writing science. A couple of things, you will get the slide later if you want to have something specific. There are many for Mac, and this were for Windows. For Mac, they are menacing. If you Google Markdown editor, you will find probably 100. These are online websites you can connect and edit there. So going back, so we're going to use visual. In fact, I have it here. Let me before getting to this, let me go to the Visual Studio Code. It looks like this. I've been using it for a while, so I have many things kind of pre-installed here, but I try to disable them. So if you follow with my suggestion and you install Visual Studio Code and you open, you will get something like this. Here I have some recent things that I have worked before, but you will get something similar. And you can create a new file or open. When you open, what really is asking you to open a folder. And you remember that we say that we should have a folder for the project. So this is either the folder of the project or at least the folder of the documents in the project, depending on how you want to do it. In particular, I have a couple of folders, one where I keep my blog, and when I keep, well, this is a project, a paper, and where I'm moving my writing that are not in the blog, in particular this class here. So if you don't have, you open, and if you have, I open in the recent one, and let's give it a minute. It looks like this. Okay, I should turn off my camera because the computer is getting slow. Can I turn off my camera now? Anyway, so the first thing that you notice here is that there is a listing of the files in the folder. So let me collapse everything here. Here, in my case, I kept a folder for every year. And inside of every year, I keep one for every project. And here is the project that I'm working now, this class of today. Then there is a couple of other things. There is a search that I don't use very much. This is the Git version control that I'm not going to talk today, maybe on Monday if we have time. And the important part that I wanted to show you is this part called extensions. So as you see, I have many extensions that I've been installing for many years, some months, let's say, not years, but I try to have the minimum. Well, I want to show you a couple of things. One of the trick of these modern editors is that what the company makes is something core business, let's say. And then they have the opportunity, the platform that allow people to install extensions. So they say they create something like an app store when you can install your own things and encourage people to do. And if you see here, they're the author. They are doing different things. So it's super convenient for Microsoft because they have people working for them for free. But it's also useful for us because we get the tools that we want. Everything is open. You can see the code. So you get what you want, and if you can make your own thing. So, for example, if I wanted to install a couple of other things that I want to suggest. One is clock. So I write here and I see many alternatives. I have one already installed here, so I'm going to click here and enable it. And it will make that I see the time here. That is something that I like to see here. It's not by default, and you have many options if you want to make it look different. You can play with that. It's a personal decision. The other that I want to enable now is a word count. This is kind of a default example made by Microsoft. You see, this is the author is Microsoft. And the advantage is that, well, you will see, when I open a document, I will see how many words I have, which is the recommended way to manage your, to see your progress, okay? Then I have a couple of things that I have pre-installed. Well, I installed simple icons because I like when I look at the files here, I want to see an icon. If you don't install this part, you don't see icons here. You don't see this logo. So I install simple icons to get a better look here. Then what else? No, here, click here. And the thing that we're going to use. The most interesting is the VS Code PDF that allows me to open a PDF here. Well, we will see. And VS Code Pando. Okay, we will come back to them when we get later. But let's say, for example, if I go here, I wanted to show you, maybe I can make a new file that I will call example. And as usual, you need to have an extension. I mean, in Windows, usually the file extension is hidden. That is a bad idea. You want to have something that indicates what kind of file it is. The default for Markdown will be MD. And you see the icon changed immediately when I put the name here. Okay. Okay, I open with double click or enter, I open. And I have two tabs here. And here I see the file type. If this is not correct, I can click here and choose some other style. We were going to check that later. Okay. But by the, let me say this. Let me say that I made a mistake. Let me say that I made a mistake, and instead of, let me rename it. And instead of Markdown, I was making it maybe like this. Nothing say. Then when I open it, double click. When I open it, it's a plain text. It will not have any magical thing. So I can change the language here, Markdown, for example. And the icon change. But the easy way is to use the proper extension. If your file name has the proper extension, your life is simpler. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the text. So text files. The main reason why I encourage this is that they are forever. They are eternal, and I mean the ancient art recommend this is something that you are going to use forever. I probably told you that if you go to the NASA website, you can download the source code of the program used to send people to the moon, and they are still readable. But I cannot read the file that I wrote 10 years ago in Word because Word changed the format. All the binary codes depend on a company. And if the company changes, we are in trouble. Problem of text is that they don't have a structure. So we want to give them a structure. I'm repeating a little what I said yesterday, but I want to emphasize here: section, subsection, list, figure, table. Okay, let me go fast because I know that we say this, the separation of concern, say what things are, not how they look. There are many ways to do this. This problem is so common that there are many ways. Something that is interesting here, I spoke yesterday about LaTeX, which is one that has a strong influence and is still important. MediaWiki, Wikipedia. Wikipedia is also written, they are also text files written with a particular markup. HTML, we make webs, and there is some alternative to Markdown called restructured text, textile, ASCII, dot, essentially the same philosophy. So I tried some of them, and but eventually what happened to me is that I realized that I wanted to, I mean, Markdown kind of dominated. Markdown is widely used, and it can be used for making PDF, for making Word, for making web page. And as you may remember, it's used in R, it's used in Python, in Julia. So there is a system called Jupyter, which is Julia, Python, and R. And they are all in this context using Markdown. In GitHub, people use Markdown, and I could not find all there is, but if you search, you will find more and more that things online use Markdown. So, for example, if you write, there is some minimal Markdown support in WhatsApp. If you want to make some text to look different, there is something that you have to check. I think in other communication tool, you can kind of put some markup and it will look nicer. So the philosophy of Markdown is that it should be readable by humans. So if you see the text file as a text file, it should make sense to you. So, no, this one. Comment that I have to make here. There are different flavors. Maybe I should, before going to this, give you an example of a text I showed yesterday. Something in Word. Here I have the version in Markdown. This is directly here. Let me hide this part and we focus here. So if you read, well, the text editor is put in color here, so I can see the section and subsection. But the rest of the text can be read very straight. You don't need anything special to read here. You open with anything that can open a text file, and there are thousands of things like that, and you read in human. So it is very light. If you compare for, I don't know, the HTML version of this, it is much more complicated. We try to see the HTML version later. Okay. I will also like to show you here, we have writings, but we also have something called outline. An outline essentially shows you what are the sections, subsections that allow you to quickly navigate in the document. So again, if you have a structure, the computer can use that structure in your favor. So here I see all my folder, and if I'm using only one file, I focus on the structure and the outline. Okay. Any questions so far? So we'll have this tool, this kind of make. Okay. Here maybe I should say something. When I click a file, it will be, let's say I click this and it open, and you see the title is in italic. Italic essentially means that it's not fixed, because if I click another file, it will also open and replace the old one. If I want to keep it fixed, I should double click it, and then you see it's no longer italic. And now if I open another file, it's in a new tab. So in other words, when the title is in italic, it means that it will be replaced. If the title is in Latin straight letters, then it will not be replaced. So I will work with these two files, one short, one long. Okay. And we are going to hide. Here I see all the columns that I have, but you can also see them here. By the way, here, if you want, there is a lot of colors or icons, and you can download there. Everything is free. There are many shortcuts that can be used like keyboard combination. And in fact, I have a tool. When I start working, I will show you my keys. Okay. If you have any question, ask me. And if I don't answer it, maybe because my headphone is not working. Okay, so compiling is the process of transforming Markdown to other formats. There are many different Markdown compilers because this was invented by someone and people liked the idea and people start to make their own version of the editor. There are many versions. Unfortunately, the problem is that they are not 100% compatible. So everything that I say, well, not everything, but some of the things that I will say are not universal and do not work for all Markdowns. But I am going to focus on one in particular, which is a good one in my opinion. It's called Pando. Pando, you Google Pando, but it's the one that we use in RStudio. When you install RStudio, it installs Pando. So essentially, RStudio, what it does is you take the R Markdown file and it process all the code and create a plain Markdown file that then is processed by Pando. Pando is doing the most of the work. So when we used R Markdown in our class, we were really using Pando. This time I'm using Pando without R. Okay. So for example, one of the advantages is that you can convert from Markdown to Word and from Word to Markdown. You can convert from Markdown to PowerPoint. I'm not sure if the other way around. You can convert from Markdown to LaTeX and from LaTeX to Word. And if you have a Jupyter notebook, for example, you can convert to Markdown, and you can essentially move between all formats. I mean, if you see the Pando, let me open maybe the Pando, not this one, pandoc.org. What happened here? Here are all the things that it can read, and here it is a summary. These are all the language from the beginning that can read, and these are all the language that can write. You see? Super complex. MediaWiki, for example, you can translate from Markdown to GitHub, so to Wikipedia, from Wikipedia to Markdown. Format to make PowerPoint. So it's the super tool. Okay, let's go back to the story. Pandocs, well, we say this thing. And the point is, it can also handle BibTeX reference. BibTeX, you may remember, is the format of bibliography used by LaTeX. And we are going to talk about that in a minute. So, quickly, because I know that most of you have already seen this one, a paragraph is anything that, I mean, you can go line by line, but if you finishing with an empty line, there should be an empty line. That defines a paragraph. So in the text that I have here, this is a paragraph. This is a paragraph. I don't know if you can see, but here, this is line 21, this is line 21. So these are separate lines. This is line 21 to 29, they are different lines. But since there is nothing empty here, they are considered to be one paragraph. The empty lines separate the paragraph. For example, here, you see this line is a little longer, and then it is still connected to the next one because there's no empty line. Empty lines define paragraph. Okay, maybe this is the moment to show you something. Okay, a couple of things that I want to show you here. So here I have a tool to show my keys. So the super thing if you want to do anything in Visual Studio, you have to open what they call the command palette. You can see it here. In the Mac is Shift Command P, in Windows is Shift Control P, and in Linux also. This is working everywhere. And you get this menu here. And here you have all the possible commands that are many things. So in particular, I want to try this one, Markdown preview. In fact, I want to do another preview. Preview, open preview to the side. And here I have the shortcut, Command K V. See, Command K, or in Windows will be Control K V. So I choose this one, and it opens a preview. Okay, so if you want to see how things are going, you can open here. Maybe here I should make the text a little smaller. I just did zoom out. And they are synchronized, as you see. If I move one, the other will move at least. Well, I think it's an option here. I configured that I move the main text and the preview moves. You can configure the other way. I choose not to do that. So that already helps you. For example, if I put an enter here, I will see that this become 2 paragraphs. If I delete that empty line, it becomes 1 paragraph again. And I see the section and subsections. And this is kind of a link here. I see it like a link. This kind of thing. So if I want to do it quickly, I can do with my keyboard, Command-Shift-P. Why is not showing the thing that I wanted to show you? I have a trick to show you, but I don't see it now. My cast, I don't know. I don't know what is it. It should be showing something. Anyway, not work. I have something to show you the keys. But I will tell them. So the easy way is Command or Control K V from view. And if in general, if you have to remember one thing, well, remember to click here and go to Command Palette, and here you will see the code. And the second thing that you can learn is Control or Command-Shift-P, and that will give you all the commands. And if they have a shortcut, they will show you here, okay? Okay, so paragraphs separated by a single line. Header, as you already saw, this is important. The hash should be in the first character, the first column of the text. If that allows you, essentially, if in the middle of the text you say, for example, there is some a hash here, that hash is not marking anything. That hash is a hash. The magic of hash only works in the first line, in the first column. Now, as we say, we have sections, subsections, or in other systems, people call headers, subheader, header 1, 2, 3, 4. It is kind of not recommended going too deep. I am using, let's say, header 1, I am using for chapter, heading 2 for section in the chapter, and heading 3 subsection. But if you keep going deeper, it's kind of getting crazy. I mean, it make it harder to read. Lawyers like to do that, but I mean, people say that Richard Feynman wrote all the lessons in physics using 2 levels. Lists, here there's some freedom here. Let me go to this example. Let me go. This is an example list. Example of Markdown, and here I will put a list. I like to put the plus sign, but it can be a minus sign, it can be a plus sign. I like plus because I'm positive. It can be a star. Anything that you want, but put in the first column. If you, well, maybe there can be some space here. Well, in fact, yeah, let me correct myself. It's not the first, but it can be 1 space, it can be 2 spaces. If in this case, this is one of the things that depends on the version of Markdown. Here you see I put 2 spaces, and it moved like to be a sub-item. I normally use 4. There's some different people, but I think the standard is to separate 4, I think. So I have 4 spaces. 4 spaces is important if you later read the comment. But right now, don't worry very much. You just remember that if you want to make a list, you put a symbol, one of the symbols at the beginning. This is still the same list. If you want to make a separate list, you have to put a space here. Empty. You need 2 empty lines if you want to make it separate. This is normal text. If I put it here, they will be okay. Nothing happened. Fine. So people like writing lists. It's kind of a way of thinking, but it's not good to read. I don't recommend using very much. I use them in the draft. When I start thinking, I just put things. Then I change them later. List with number. If you put a number and a dot, then it will be a number list. And the point that I want to show you here is that the numbers are automatic here. So you don't need to put the numbers on your own. The numbers will be given to you. So for example, if I decided that the item 3 that I put here in the position 3, I want to put it in the second position, the number change automatically. Again, don't work for the computer, make the computer work for you. That is the philosophy. Okay. Pictures, image. They have this format. Monday may discuss a little more, but there should be an exclamation mark, and there is a space for an optional text that I normally keep it empty, and then either the web page or the file in your computer. In Markdown, we use it to make some code to make the figures, and Markdown was internally using this code. My strategy here is like I make the figures with another program, with Excel, with R, with Python, with whatever. You create your figure and you save the figures in the same folder as your text, maybe in a subfolder called figure if you like. And then you put the reference here. This is not so crazy because if you are writing a paper, the people who, when you submit a paper to a journal, they normally ask you for the picture in a separate place. You give a Word file with the text, and let me maybe use the other video. Yeah, my fancy camera not working. Anyway, if when you submit a paper, normally you send the one file, Word or whatever, with the text, and the figures go always separated. Not well in the good journals, at least they always as the file separated. Okay, so this is not a big cost. It's the way that people do in journals, and remember that these are work documents. Everything can be changed at the last minute if you don't like it. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next one. This optional text. What is the role of this optional text? The technical reason why they put it is because is what is shown if the figure is not open. Well, in some cases it doesn't work for me, but in some, depending on the browser, if you put the mouse over the figure, it will show you that text. It's an alternative text. And in particular, it's shown if the figure is missing. So it's in particular made for when, let's say that blind people are using the web and they're using a screen reader, a program that reads the text, then the screen reader will read that part. Now, why is important for us? And this is something that I have not shown before. In Pando, they have a little trick. If your figure, if your image is in one paragraph, meaning with a empty line before and after, then the optional text becomes the caption. Okay. So I don't have. Do I have a good? Let me try this. Let me copy the image address, and I'm going to put a picture here. I have a couple of things that I can show you later. So this I put the, it's not very clear because it's black and black. Okay, but you believe me that is there, no? It is, let me try the other. That one, yeah, just. So in this preview, this caption is not seen because remember, this is an extension of Pando and this is not Pando. There is some tool here called somewhere an extension like Pando preview here. So there's some Pando preview, but I'm not using it. What I'm using instead is this one. There is some extension called VS Code Pando that essentially give you a button, F1, and you, for example, you press Control KP or Command KP, and it will process it automatically. Let's do that. Let's close this here. So what I'm saying is this: if I install that extension, you can press Control KP, and it will ask you what format you want. In this case, well, the fastest is probably HTML, but I want to see the PDF version. For the PDF version, there are several strategies that Pando can use to make the PDF. It doesn't, because I didn't put the format. Here, see, I got an error because of the wrong file name. Okay, so let's be serious. I'm going to go here to the folder. I'm going to change the name. It was required to call it Markdown.md. Pando complained that they didn't know what was the format. So closing this up, closing this again, and KP PDF. In my case, since I am a mathematician, I installed LaTeX, and Pando is using LaTeX, and I will show you why LaTeX. Something. Okay. I have the preview. Let me show you here. I have my preview here. This is my output. Now, if you don't want to go there, you remember that we have an extension here that allow us to see PDF. So if everything goes right, you can click here, and I will get if it goes right, not always going right. Let me close here. Let me close here. Let me try again. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know why. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know why, but sometimes it works. Sometimes I can open PDF here. So let me try something. For example, let me try this one. No, I don't know. I don't know. There is something because I tried it before and it worked. But if not, you can always go here and say open with and open with the different tool. So here I open with the default. This is the heading, the list, as you see, the numbers are the way they should be. And this is the text with the caption, the figure with the caption. Okay. Any questions so far? So this is the way that we can put, okay, to be a little more serious, we should do, let me maybe try the cancel, the one that was a little bigger. I'm going to close this part. I'm going to make the preview here. And I will put here something like figure 1. Let me put it in boldface. Then let's compile it, Control K, P. Is it? It's not very fast. That is the reason why I don't do it very often. Okay, not very fast, but here I have to click, and I got the figure here. Okay, let's go to the real deal. Tables. Tables, they have there are several formats that we will discuss later. But the simple one is like you use vertical bars. You put the header here. And you separate the column with vertical bars. There are some variations here that we can talk later, but when you process this, you get this thing. How to put a caption in the tables, because we need captions in the tables and in the figures. The way is that we keep an empty line and then we write table. This is the keyword, table equinocta. 2 points, colon. And this is the caption. And you see, this is shown, in particular, in this case, it's shown up. Next class, I am going to show you an extension that allows you to put numbers automatically here. Okay, that next class. So the figure numbers and the table number are going to be automatic. It is an extension that we are going to talk next class. How to make the table? This is something, I think I have it here already pre-open. I use this tool. There are many tools. In fact, there is some extension in RStudio. In RStudio, let me go here. In RStudio, we have these packages, no? Knitter or Pander. Pander is called Pander because of Pando. There's some Visual Studio Code plugin that allow you to copy. There's something like you copy from Excel and you paste and you get the Markdown. I have not tried that one. The one that I use usually is this one. Here you write like an Excel. I think you can even copy and paste from Excel to here, and it gives you the function. So you change. Let's change something like to show that this is real. I change some text here. I say preview. No, not preview. I say generate. Click. I got copy to clipboard. Then I go to the text editor. I paste. Okay. This is a message from the. Don't forget about that. Then we have here the. Maybe I should change the color. Let's do something. Maybe it will be easier if I change the color theme to something light. Yeah. Now you see the picture at least, no? Yeah, unfortunately I had black in black. But it's here, you have these color themes. And well, you can play with that. So, and if I want, I can say table. This is the caption. But remember that these two things here are extension by Pando. It will not work here in the preview. So that's how I make the tables. Well, if the table is made by a program, you make the program. R and Python and probably everything today can create this because people are using Markdown everywhere. Computer code, if you are in that kind of people, the only thing that I want to comment here is that you can, when you put the 3 ticks, you can put without braces, just a text here and indicate the syntax. Say, for example, this is Python, this is, I don't know, big text or something, whatever. So in that case, you see the difference here. If I don't put, it just get gray here. If I put here, I get colors. And some beautifier. And let's go to the real part. This is the one that pays the money. Okay, we are still going to do something on Monday that will make it a little better, but this is the key. There are hundreds of citation styles, and meaning, for example, Should you put when you write it in the main text? Should you put? Do I have an example here? No, I don't have an example here. Should you put number like a super index? Should you put stars or something like footnote? Should you put the reference at the end? Should you sort the reference alphabetically? Should you sort them in the order that is cited? Should you put numbers? Should you put the name, the authors of the, there are many options. And then in the reference, you make it short, or you make it that many questions that should be decided. So the computer can do it for you. There are many tools you probably have seen, I don't know, EndNote and things like that. But the one that I learned, and it's something that's been working for 40 years or more, is BibTeX. So Pando, this is BibTeX, of course, come from LaTeX. And it's super universal, and you will probably find ways to do it. And one of the tricks that can be done, since it's a text file, you can have a program that creates for you. Okay, let me show it to you. This is how the BibTeX looks. It's a text file. Well, let's see here. So the basic syntax is this. There is an at. It's a very old syntax. It's not, if we do it today, we will do it different, but people, when invented, they didn't have any reference. So they have an at and then a marker of the kind of document. The most common for us are books and articles, but they can also be like web page or report or a chapter of a book, thing like that. Then there is this curly brace that is kind of all the record. And here, the most important thing is that there should be a name, an ID, some kind of Kimblick. So this one, I choose it, okay? Or some program choose it for me. This is the part that we have to choose. This is the name that we're going to use. Then there are the details. What is the title? What is the author? Here I got in Calibre, so I get the number here. Calibre is a software that I use to manage my books, my ebooks. The year published. In an article, for example, we'll also have journal and the volume and the year and maybe a DOI. Okay? This is just an example. So in my case, I have an extended version of this document here in my, where is this thing? Here, I have in my folder reference, this recommended bibliography. And I have an extension that allows me to see some colors here. At least it's a blue in book. So as you see, the books, I have the title. So in the worst case, you can write it manually. It's the way that I used to do. I write it manually in the worst case. But of course, there are better ways to do than manually. Okay, first, how we use it. We use it like this, and I'm going to show you in a minute. If I put, the keyword is the at. So I put at and the ID, the Kimblick, the same that I showed you a minute ago. And if I put it in, it will be replaced by the reference, depending on the style. I will try a couple of things, but I want to say that typically you put it in brackets. In fact, if you don't put in brackets, the citation is a little different. For example, there is no, the parenthesis is outside. I think I have to show you on Monday a little more detail. You can put more than one reference together separated by semicolon. You can make comment about what are the pages of the book that you are mentioning here, okay? Let's focus on this case. So if I write something, and in fact, it's what I have here in this 10 rules, I make a little trick here to create the references. As you see, again, this is a Pando thing, so the preview is not showing you. And it's kind of good that doesn't show because the preview need to be fast. And if we do many of the thing takes some time. So remember, the ultimate goal is that you focus in your content, not in how things look. So everything that distracts you is your enemy. You don't want to be distracted. So in particular, the look of the references is not something essential. You only need to remember that you put the reference. Okay? Then I will compile the text and let me show you here. We need two things. We need to tell Pando how to handle citation and to tell Pando where are the citations. So I have to add this option here. So I have two ways of doing it. One is directly in the command line. Let me show you. So I have to say Pando, and I have to say this option siteproc, that means process citations, citation processing. And then I have to indicate where is the bibliography. Let's see. Let's see. One of the options that I have here, I have a little command line here. So let me go to the corresponding folder, 2022. Let me do slash tools. And I do my command line, Pando siteproc, and bibliography. The bibliography is here. I have in a folder called ref recommended. And then what is the file? Well, I want to say the output file, 10 rules PDF. And the file that I want to process is just 10 rules MD. So -O indicate the output, and then the file. This can be a little more automatic. I got some errors here. Interesting. Let me see this thing. Let's see what I got in the result right now. Not this one, the other one. Let's see if we can open it here. Let's see. 10 rules PDF. Let's see what happened. I can. No, didn't work. I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not working. I can open directly here. Open 10 rules PDF. Here. So let's go to the point here. If I did correctly, I should have here in the references all the things that I cited. This was filled automatically. Let me show you in the main text. Let me show you the main text. References is empty. The reference here were filled automatically by Pando. Here I made an error. I can see that I made an error. It's marked here. And I will have to fix them in a minute. But here is a correct. You see the references here. The citation. Another citation here. Next session, I want to check how can I, let me look for the brackets and the add. Here I made a mistake. This is a 4 that should not be there. This is a 5 that should not be there. Next class, I'm going to simplify this process. Okay, make it a little more automatic. Here I forgot to put something. Okay, this is not existing, really not existing. I forgot to put something. Same here. I'm going to make it a little more automatic without the command line. As you know, or as you should know, the command line is the real power. No? Eda can, well, some of you took my course of command line, some of you even teach command line. So is the real magic power. But if you don't, even if you don't, we will make it automatically next time. Okay, let me run it again. As you see, it takes some seconds. It's not real time, and that is fine because we don't want to be updating every moment. I just want to make a last comment here. Is this? I got less error here. The 11 and 12 are error because I didn't put them. But now the reference looks better. Let me make it a little bigger. One of the reasons why people like using latex or LaTeX is because it looks beautiful. These are hashes that I wrote intentionally. Here is the reference. You see, automatically fit. We are going next class. We are going to export to Word because it's most of the time you want to do it in Word and you want to do it in the format that university asks you. But let me show you one of the tricks here. The opening quotation is different from the closing. That is the advanced, the smart style card. Open quotation and close quotation in a professional document are different. The margins are very much straight, but the way that when LaTeX process this, they do it in a much more efficient way. In particular, if you notice, this word was too long, and LaTeX can do something that Word cannot do, which is split the words automatically. In fact, the way that they do is that they try to make that every line has kind of the same proportion of black and white, the same gray level. So the algorithm to make this is very elaborated. It's kind of an optimization, mathematical optimization problem to what is the way to split the lines to make the paragraph look nice. There is something else here. There is a long line that you can use sometimes in English to separate two ideas in the same text. What else we have here? Yeah, it makes automatically, well, of course, page numbers are automatic and so. So, well, next time we are going to make it even better. And the other thing that we're going to do is this. So we saw here how to handle references, bibliographical references. In fact, I have a couple of more things to show you here. How you create the BibTeX. If you use Zotero or Mendeley, they have an option to export BibTeX. That is how I do mine. I mean, I have my books in what I say in, I have my books in Calibre. I have my PDF in Mendeley. Or I am thinking to migrate to Zotero, and they have the same the same option of exporting. And there is the website that you can convert. In fact, to be honest, I even have a little program that takes the DOI of a paper and give me back the BibTeX. So if I have the papers, the only thing that I write is the DOI. And with a program, everything is filled for me. But Zotero can do, and there is BibTeX converter, and You can check it later. That is my recommended lecture here. Like here, DOE to BIP text, ESBN to BIP. This is everything that you want. But maybe I should have prepared something here. If I have, like, say, PubMed, NCBI, PubMed, I'm not sure, to be honest, but some websites, some publishers, when you ask for citation, they give you. Shall we have something? No, let me try this one. Okay, just trying something. The many I will say probably all journals, when they have the option of cite, they will offer you a BibTeX option. If it works. Okay, let's start finishing. This is some validation here. Format. Yeah. No, this one is not. This one is not the. But if I go to the Nature journal, the NCBI is not giving me BibTeX. I don't know why. But here, when you get this option here, if everything goes right, if everything is not working, 1 second. No, bad example. Even it in RIS. I don't know. Okay, I will have to check it later. But many, you know, well, you have RIS, and you can eventually form from PubMed ID to BibTeX, and from RIS. Well, things like that. Okay. That's the topic of today, how to use Pando. So I am recommended you, maybe I will send you an email with these links later, but I have like some Markdown, the reference, the Pando, you can try it online. But if you know Markdown already, you are fine. Just to be complete, you remember that I put some citation here. I did it with the same tool, so it automatically created me this reference. These are the reference that I mentioned in the document. They are also added in the last slide automatically, with some format that we will play with it. Okay. So in bottom line, if you use Visual Studio Code, you can have some extensions. The extensions that are relevant for us is the Visual Studio Code Pando that allow you to compile your document. And there's some option that I'm going to next class to explore the option of this Pando thing. Okay, how to configure it. In particular, there I'm going to configure the automatic here, the preferences as additional Pando option, and you can put the process files, all these things. We're going to put them there, so we don't need to open the command line. So we prepare it only once. But if you want to be really powerful, you have the command line with control backtick. You have a command line, and the command line you can do whatever you want to do. Okay. Any question?